is over 80, right?
Yeah.
Higher 80. He's working. Okay, for those of you sitting at home and saying it's too hard, he's 80 years old. Learn from this guy, including our president. He's 80 years old too. Okay, so be proud. It keeps you healthy, right? Romance. So let's work.
That's not a flex, that's dystopian. And there are indeed a lot of lessons that you can learn from that old man. One of them being that you live in a nation so bereft of morality, so greedy and caught up in money that you will probably have to work until your late 80s, early 90s, like that old man right there, at a grocery store, no less. This is not a flex, y'all. And I've worked with people in their 80s at grocery stores, like mostly Walmart, Supercenter. I worked with an old lady who worked the cash register, and we had to raise hell to get her a stool to sit down. She had to stand, oh, we got her a softer pad to stand on. This woman was in her 80s at the time that I worked with her, okay? And it was a big deal about her sitting down to ring up people's products. This old man, as you can see, he was standing too, right? Probably bagging up groceries and stuff to pay a bill. He probably, in his mind, had no idea that he would be working into his late 80s. I'm not laughing. It is sad. And I mean, work, you can learn a lot from this man. Yes, you can learn. One accident, one unforeseen expense could put you in a situation to where you're trying to catch up for decades. Let's say his wife may die. I don't know this man's situation to where he is working at a grocery store in his late 80s, but it's not a good one. And it's not something that should be flexed by any nation. Our elderly and people who are over the hill, so to speak, come on, over past 70, you should be sitting down somewhere. And I work with people that are nearly 70. I'm gonna talk about that in a minute. You should be able to retire, but nobody has that sense of security right now because of the world that we live in. It is horrible. That is horrific to see a 80-something-year-old man bagging groceries and having to fake a smile for some fucking sycophant who probably has money, who would never sit up there and bag groceries. That would be that man's worst case scenario to have to be in that. But it serves him. As you can see, he's going through the line. As long as he's here serving me, that's how this country works. That's how capitalism works. As long as the elite, as long as the rich are being served, it doesn't matter about who they step on or how they step on them to serve them. And if they can find a more efficient way to serve themselves without you or me, that's what they're going to do. I plan on making a lot of content this week. It's Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. There should be that all the time. And I fell into my own depression and stuff earlier this week. I actually did a video that I was very proud of on Tuesday. I go into work that Tuesday, and the first thing I'm hit with is kiosk scores. Now, if y'all don't know about this channel, I work in a restaurant, and it's a chain restaurant, and at this particular chain restaurant, there are these kiosks that sit on the table. There's like these machines that sit on the table. We are encouraged to put as many orders and stuff on the kiosk, which I, over the last couple years, once they started really pushing this kiosk stuff, I've adjusted to. I put almost everything into the kiosk, no biggie. But the kiosk scores, when you guys ever go out to eat and y'all sit there and they have the little thing where you say, oh, how was my service, right? Most of those rundowns I get are fabulous. People say the best things about me. And I think I've even told you guys that I've gotten a couple letters from people writing to corporate about how good of a server I am. Consistently, on average, I don't care if their bill is only $20-something. On average, I make about $10 per table. That's where my service is, because people feel like I go above and beyond, because I fucking do. I enjoy being a server. I have no problem being a server. There's no pride in me that says, oh, I can't be out here serving people. No, I enjoy it. It humbles me. It keeps me, in the public. It keeps me from being just a hermit here on my computer. There's a lot of things I love about serving that's outside just the job itself, right? But it also goes with my personality of just go, 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 because I'm a very hyper person. Being there for 5-6 hours a day works for me, and it works for my mindset. Just that type of work. That type of simple work works for me, and it's supposed to be simple work. But when you introduce something like a kiosk and you start talking about metrics, now where did the metrics come from? You said if these people are praising you, if they're writing out these things and corporate is sending you letters and stuff, like, well, what's the problem? Well, it goes down to those scores. Now, when you go get on those kiosks after you eat and it says 1 through 5, anything between a 5 doesn't matter. I'm just going to go ahead and tell y'all that right now. Those 5s you got to be hitting them 5s. If you like your server and you hit that 4, it brings that average down. Now you probably say, why does that fucking matter? What if it was just a 4? What if it was just a 3? What if I didn't even think about it? What if they're asking me a question I didn't even think about? What if he didn't, I love the server, but I never did get a refill on, whatever I needed whatever this is asking me I need a refill on, because I didn't want a refill, because there's a lot of people that don't want refills. And trust me, I ask a million times, do you want a refill? Do you want a refill? And even when they say no, I'll be like, are you sure you don't want a refill? I do this with all my tables. I am extremely hyper. I have more energy than anybody at that restaurant, anybody half my age. It is a fucking medical condition. So I am zipping all the goddamn time. And it works for that job, right? I am rewarded through the gratuity. I am rewarded through the comments. But when it comes to just these arbitrary numbers that you just press, sometimes that is that shows negative on me. We are required to have a 95% average as far as refills on this particular item, right? That has to be 95 every week. I'm getting to the point. If those kiosk scores don't reach a 95 by the end of the week, you get a talking to, right? You get a talk. Well, why haven't we? Take a mind. Now you can be in the 90s. You could be 94. But if it doesn't hit that 95 on that kiosk score, as far as people hitting that thing, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that corporate has said, oh, people have literally written to us. Multiple people that's been this year have written to us about your service and all. None of that matters. Okay. And this even came up from one of the old ladies even bringing that up about me at one of our server meetings the other day when this all came up, because a lot of us got written up the other day for our refill scores being under, not for drinks, not for anything, not for bread or anything like that, before one of our specialty items that come before that precludes the meal. So I think my score was like a 92 or something. So I got written up. Obviously that takes my mental health and it just puts it in the dumps. Okay. Why? Because I rely on that job in order to fucking live here. You understand? I can't just walk off of the job and be like, all right, fuck it, let me go find something else. Due to the fact that most of my money from that job comes from the gratuity. It works for me. It simply has worked for me, and it's simple enough to where when this kiosk stuff wasn't a part of the equation, it was one of my favorite fucking jobs. You implement this computer shit, it stresses everybody out, including our boss. Because my boss was like, a lot of these people are corporate. They haven't had a serving job in 15, 20 years. It shows, because most of our customers don't even like these fucking kiosks on these tables. They don't like to pay on them. They don't like to use them to put food in. They don't like me standing there using them to put food in. They would prefer just to be for the personable experience, for you to go up there, take their goddamn order, bring them their food in a timely manner, refill their refreshments when they need it, and that be it. Like we don't need to visit their table a million times. If you've visited this particular chain restaurant in the last few months, you will probably have I'm going to say this chain restaurant, I don't give a fuck. It's OG's. It's Olive Garden, okay? If you visited a Olive Garden in the last, let's say 6 months, okay, and you felt rushed, there is a reason for that. Down from corporate all the way to us, we've been encouraged not only to use these kiosks, but to get y'all the fuck up out of there. I'm just gonna be honest with you. That's what they've been pushing us to do. They want y'all out of there in I think they wanted to get down to under 38 minutes. That means you come in, you get your food, you eat, you get the fuck out. Because what we've been told is that the consumer doesn't want to come and sit down in a restaurant to eat. They want an experience where they just come in, get some food, and go. They're trying to compare us to like Chipotle. That's literally what we were told. Like Chipotle's experience. Chipotle's restaurant is set up different than the Olive Garden. Chipotle and Olive Garden are two different experiences. When you want to go into an Olive Garden and sit down and eat, and when you go into a Chipotle, those are two different mindsets. If I'm going to Chipotle, I can go into Chipotle, go through the line, because it's the form factor is made for you to go through that goddamn line. I worked at Chipotle for over a year. So I know, okay, at the goddamn register, you go through that line. It's made efficiently for people to get in, get out. Olive Garden is a sit-down fucking restaurant. Applebee's is a sit-down restaurant. Steakhouse is a sit-down restaurant. When people come in there, they don't want to feel rushed. If they want the fast food experience, they're going to go and get fucking fast food. When they come in there, and especially they're going to give you gratuity, they're going to give you tips and all that other shit, they want you to serve them. They want to be able to sit down, be comfortable without you fucking disturbing them throughout their meal. They want to be served, they want to be satiated, and they want to get the fuck out of there. But they want to do it in a manner where they don't feel rushed. If they wanted to feel rushed, they would go over there to Wendy's. You see what I'm saying? Like, what are we talking about? And it's hard to do this. So we've gotten, so I'm getting to this. I have to vent, y'all. So they've gotten to the point where they've changed our training. Okay. So our training typically went like this. I would come to your table. I would say, hey, how you guys doing? Like, I would come to your table and say, hey, how you guys doing? Can I get you guys started on something to drink? We have Bellini sweet tea. We have raspberry iced tea. You know, can I get you started with something to drink? And most of the time, I would say 99% of the time, most people kind of know what they want to drink, unless they want to go through the alcohol menu. Most people kind of off the top of their head, oh, I'll take a Coke, or I'll take a tea, most people know this, right? So that's the first initial thing. At the same greeting, I'm supposed to say, and I usually do, oh, I can also get you guys started on some appetizers you want. I say, 70% of the time, maybe people want an appetizer. And a lot of times people they'll banter like, oh, y'all want to get an appetizer? You want to get an appetizer? And you put an appetizer in right there. So right there, initially, I got your drinks, I got your appetizer. That's how the old way went. Now, the new way, the new way is they want me to come to your table. I'm supposed to ask for your drinks, and then I'm supposed to also ask, are you ready to order? No big deal, because a lot of restaurants do that. Are you ready to order? Because I can take your order right there and put it right in if you're ready, because sometimes people are ready. But I would say the percentage of time where people are actually ready when you come to their table and ask them when they first sit the fuck down is about 35%, if that. And even when the people are ready, sometimes it feels like they're not necessarily sure. But I would say, just in my experience as a person that works as a server every day, it's about 35% when people are actually ready to order right off the initial fucking greeting of you, okay? But this is what they encourage us to do. Now, if they are not ready to order, our dishes, if you've ever been to an Olive Garden, come with either soup or salad, okay? These are the things that we're getting in trouble for. I'm supposed to ask on the initial greet, when I done got your drinks, when I done got your appetizer, are you having soup or salad? Now, a lot of people, they're taken aback because they just want to look at the menu at this point. They are still adjusting themselves. They're still talking. I'm supposed to be there in your face within a couple minutes, asking you all these goddamn questions, and you haven't even looked at the menu. You follow you follow how the ebb and flow is not working now, right? Just because I'm rushing you don't mean that you're ready to be rushed. You're coming in there to sit down. Let the motherfucker sit down. Let them put they jacket behind their seat. Let them adjust, right? Like, am I tripping? And all of us servers are feeling this pressure because the people are feeling, the customers are feeling pressure, right? So on the initial greet, let's say they're not ready to order, right? They're not ready to order entree because they haven't even looked at the fucking menu. Let's say they do know what the soup and salad is. Remember, they haven't looked at the menu. They'll say, okay, I want this type of soup. So what I'm supposed to do is, in one go, in this first go get your drinks, go get the soup and salad and the bread, and bring it all back to the table at the same time. Now, here's the problem with that. That goes completely against what we've been trained to do this entire time. We were never supposed to take drinks with bread and soup and salad to the table before you put the goddamn meal in. But now all of a sudden y'all telling us, take them their soup and salad right away. This is crazy. So you want us to take their soup, their bread, you want us to have this fucking tray full of drinks, soup, that doesn't even go. That don't even register with how you're supposed to safely carry fucking trays and shit around a restaurant. It's asinine to try to rush people out of a restaurant that ain't always fucking full. Is insane. You see what I'm saying? It's in shitification times 100. Now go to the older people that I work with. There's a lady I work with. She's in her 60s. She's been working there for over almost 20 something years. Okay. She has said even within the last few months, she has become stressed out and shaky coming into the job because she got rolled up too. Because her soup and salad numbers were in the 80s. You see what I'm saying? Because of the kiosk, not because her customers complain, not because she's not always over there at their table, even in her late fucking 60s, moving her ass back and forth. You feel what I'm saying? Tired than a motherfucker, going and still giving quality goddamn customer service to these people. No, fuck all of that. No, she gets written up too because her kiosk scores was in the 80s, in the high 80s. Come on, bro. And that's where we are at this restaurant, and it's so stressful and it's so taxing on the mental health that I know my time is numbered there. I can't do it. So all right. So yesterday we noticed that my boss is going around to every section. She got a pit, as we're serving our tables, she's outside of every section just writing, taking notes. She's marking down stuff, right? Come to find out, she says that she's taking notes. She has to pick 3 servers in the morning, 3 servers in the afternoon, and she has to shadow them as they do their tables to make sure we're following these steps. One of the steps being, when we initially greet you, we're supposed to turn the kiosk around to you to tell you that you can pay. Whenever you're ready to pay, you can pay. Why would I want to rush the people out like that? How does that help this situation? How does this help them want to come into Olive Garden and sit down? How does that help any of that? Like, how does that help my tip? How does that help anything? How does that help their experience? It doesn't. It's not like there's so many people coming in there. We need to be rushing these people out like that. You understand what I'm saying? It is insane. And I just have to vent about that because all of these jobs become like this. I mentioned earlier, I worked with an 80-some-year woman that I worked at a Walmart. It was a problem to get her a stool. These companies are inhuman garbage. This system is inhuman trash. And if you're a young person, do not take any of these jobs very seriously because they do not take you seriously at all as a person. They don't give a fuck about you. The only thing that these companies and these corporations care about, they don't give a fuck about the customer. They don't give a fuck about the employee. What they care about is their bottom line, how the bottom line works. So I'm telling you, next time you go into one of these restaurants, notice how they're trying to rush you out. Even to the point that at our restaurant, the managers are required to do these table checks, right? So even though I'm at your table, then been at your table 3 times in a row, my boss will literally come back behind me and go to your table and say, "Hey, my name is blah, 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 blah. If you need anything," they just talk to me. If they needed to talk to a manager, trust me, the customer is going to ask to talk to a manager. Now the customers are starting to write complaints because they feeling like they being badgered. They telling our servers like, "Yo, did you just tell her to come over here?" No, they come over here anyway because they're annoying. Like, this is a part of their thing. And instead of just being like, all right, like, you know, reading a room and not going to every section. If you see one server's always in a section, you don't need to necessarily go over that section if you see everybody satiated. I know it's supposed to be, I'm supposed to touch every table, but them tables don't be wanting to be touched, especially when they get touched as much by me as they do. These tables don't need a motherfucking thing. And any one of my bosses or anybody that works with me knows that. Even fellow servers really know that if I'm drowning, I must be really goddamn drowning. It's rare for me to fucking be drowning. This job ain't fucking hard. But what makes these jobs hard is implementing these computer programs and all this other bullshit and all this pseudo statistic nonsense shit threw my whole goddamn week off. I had planned actually 2 videos for this later this week, which I'm gonna push until later next week because they'll be better quality, and I can actually talk about some other stuff that I actually came up with, that I actually found over the last few hours that I want to implement into those videos anyway. But there's a lot of stuff that I wanted to talk about this week. There's a lot of things I wanted to kick off this week with this channel, with me coming back to the channel, because I took a couple weeks off to do some back end stuff here. And I just wanted to come back and just kind of have a good time and shoot the shit. But yeah, I fell into my head, you know what I'm saying? If you do have, you know, those issues and all that other stuff with, you know, I had a rough week. That shit threw me. It did. I ain't gonna even hold you up. And I'm telling y'all not to take these jobs seriously, but when your livelihood is tied to some of these fuck ass jobs, you worry. You feel what I'm saying? You're like, damn, you know. And I'd be damned if I'm about to go back on the streets. And like the biggest thing for me was like I have to pay up a couple weeks here just so that, you know, if things do go left, because I think things gonna go left, bro. I think things gonna go left. They just looking for reasons to get rid of niggas. You feel me? Like, you got the boss going around fucking with a pen, marking every little step that you take in your day-to-day process. That's beyond micromanaging. That's insane. That is micromanaging. Did your boss come around with a pen and mark? Come on, this is a food job. This ain't motherfucking rocket science. I understand. Like, I was telling my girl this, and she was like, yeah, like I used to have to do that because she's in a managerial position doing as a nurse. Like, she has a good job, let's put it like that. And she was tasked at one of her last jobs with kind of doing the same thing with her staff, right? But one of the things she said is that she knew her staff. So she would be in there, she wouldn't micromanage every little thing, because the things that they would do, as long as they're doing it right, They shouldn't have to do this robotic checklist as long as they're doing customer and patient care to the best, not just to the best of their ability, but above standard. If these are the standards and they going above standards, why the fuck I'm going to mark them down because they're not going in this order? That doesn't make any sense. And that's what she was like, you know, she was telling me about that. I was like, and that's even in the medical. But I said, when you think about these service jobs, the people that they put into management a lot of times have a sycophant type mentality. So they're never going to push back against the authority that's telling them to implement these policies against their hardworking people that they work with every day, people that they know that this probably won't work. My boss knows that this ain't gonna last. She knows that this isn't sustainable. You can see it in her face. She knows it. She's been a server long enough. She's been in the business long enough to know that this ain't gonna last. She ain't gonna be able to keep staff long. It's going to force a lot of people out. She knows this, right? But yet she doesn't push back against her district manager, and her district manager don't push out against her, what is it called, regional manager, and her regional manager don't push out against corporate. That's how it's supposed to work. But when you have woman, no backbone, no back, they just taking our regional woman, our district woman, our my general woman. They're not pushing back on the powers that be or telling them this is crazy. Y'all about to lose business because of this shit. And with that being said, y'all, I just have to get on here and vent about a lot of this shit because, like I said, you shouldn't have to be working until your fucking 80s at these places. As you can see with that old man, these jobs don't give a fuck about you. As you can see from these positions, no matter how long you've worked here, there's been people that have been here, and I've mentioned this before, that were there 14, over 20 years when it comes to the back staff, that have gotten fired since I've been there. So that, there's no job security anywhere as far as like, even when you're working at these little stupid ass service jobs, because I said they're stupid ass service jobs because they're not supposed to require a lot of thinking. They're supposed to be manual labor. I'm supposed to go in there, serve, do my job, be this avatar. Y'all shouldn't be throwing monkey wrenches in the way of the process between me being personable with the customer getting the product, the customer having a good experience, and y'all trying to meet whatever arbitrary matrix that these people in corporate are coming up with that have nothing to do with anything. I'm sorry, I just have to go into this. And if y'all are a server and y'all getting this type of pressure, y'all know exactly what I'm talking about. The pressure rarely comes from the customers or from the guests. The guests are the guests. They're gonna have, sometimes you'll have people that run you. You're gonna have that. It is part of the job. And sometimes on the busy days, it can get stressful due to the volume of customers that are, pushing and pulling and tugging at you. But it's never them as far as like you having to serve them, really. Like, because even when you have shitty customers come and go. They're not in there for all day. A shitty customer come in, next thing you know, you got an angel taking a place in a seat. That's how it is to be a server. The job is the job. The stress of the job should never come from the back end, from the system that is in place that sometimes half the time don't even fucking work. Don't want to take the cards on the kiosk. Don't want to take the order in on the kiosk. Like, what are we doing? So with that being said, y'all, I hope you guys are having a great week, a fabulous week. I did go see that Masters of the Universe movie with my girl last night, and it was dope. It was so fucking hilarious. It was funny as fuck. That's what I wanted it. I wanted it to be funny. And like, as far as like my humor and what it was right. It was super dumb. I loved it, right? Like, it was just that level of dumb. I'll say my biggest complaint about it was the robot. I didn't like Roboto. Like, I just didn't like Roboto. I think we should have had more Cringer, the battle cat, the talking cat. I loved Cringer, even though the CGI was questionable. I personally am a bigger fan of practical effects. I wish they would have used like a big, practical effect like lion head instead of the trash ass CGI they used for Cringer. But I did like Cringer in the movie. I wasn't the biggest fan of Roboto. But everybody else, the characters were goofy. Skeletor was fucking hilarious. Yes, he is super evil and super questionable. They put all that humor in there as far as like, him being all flirty with He-Man and the pseudo homoerotic nature behind, Skeletor's obsession with He-Man. They go into that. Jared Leto did a good job as Skeletor, being goofy, like, and ridiculously evil at the same time. So I like that. And my other complaint kind of was with the actress that played this Evil Land. Like, it was just, to me, it was flat. Like, it was like she was trying to match the over the top tone of Jared Leto, and it just didn't. I don't know. It just didn't hit. It didn't hit the same, for like, at least for me. But I liked a lot of the monsters. I liked the character design. I liked how dumb a lot of the stuff is. There is an Easter egg at the very end of the movie, and if y'all don't want no spoilers, I'm gonna go ahead and spoil it. So I'm telling you, it's gonna be a spoiler in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. There is an after credit scene that has She-Ra, which was pretty sick. So if they continue the franchise, you get to see Adam's twin sister, which throughout the movie they had Queen Marlena. She was looking sad, but even after everything was said and done, she was still looking sad. And we were like, all right, this is just a depressed looking lady. But it's because she also missed her daughter, which is Adora, which is She-Ra, and they kind of showed at the very end of the movie after the credits and stuff. So I thought that was pretty cool. And I actually liked the little message of, they said that the movie was going to focus a little bit on like masculinity and toxic masculinity and all of that other stuff. And they do, but they do it in such a, in what I consider to be a subtle way, right? If you watch the movie, you will see that Prince Adam and He-Man have a lot of insecurities as far as a person, right? And they have a lot of self-doubt and guilt about who they are just based on past traumas and stuff. Like, and I know a lot of people are like, oh, that's kind of weak, but no, like I could say during Mental Health Month and like thinking about that, like that it goes. And I'm not like the biggest fan of the term toxic masculinity, but Skeletor is the embodiment of toxic masculinity. The nigga's abusive. The nigga's like, bravios. Like he gonna get what he want regardless of however he got to get it. He gonna take what he want to take however he want to take it. The environment be damned, people be damned. I love the movie. I really did enjoy the new Masters of the Universe movie more than I expected to enjoy it. They did get it. So yeah, I would recommend it if you were into like that goofy sci-fi fantasy type situation. Yeah, it was good. So with that being said, y'all, catch y'all next time. Bye bye.